So when I think about motivation, what I think about is mental wellness. Write that down, mental wellness. We got to get to a point in life where we just don't focus on physical strength. Like we all in the gym, we vegan. Some of us, we eat right? We take care of our physical body, but we don't take care of the mind. And when the mind is messed up, everything is messed up. Like when the mind is destroyed, everything is destroyed. So number one, I wanted to tell the young players that, we got to take our mental and emotional fortitude. We got to take that serious. I'm going to be real, probably just recently, I realized I was mentally ill. Like, what you saying? Like, flat out, my mother was 17. My father wasn't in my life. I lived on the streets of Detroit for 2.5 years. I lived in an abandoned building. I ate out of trash can. Like that was trauma. And my whole life I was taught like, you a man, be strong. Like you a man, you don't cry. Like you a man, be tough. Right. And I personify that like flat out. Like my videos, I ain't telling nobody, you get to whine, you get to give up, you get to cry. I ain't on that. But I realized in my own personal life, like, you've been traumatized, bruh. You came into this life with a 17-year-old. You came into this life without your father. Like you came into this life without some of the skills that my son and my daughter got because my wife and I have been married 5 years before we had kids. So number one, when I think about motivation, I think about like, you got to be mentally strong. And what does that mean? It means that in Miles' case, instead of looking at dark times and looking at what you don't have, that's a mental illness. A mental illness is even when you got it good, you find a way to see the bad in what you have. A mental illness is even though the Lord has blessed you, you don't see what the blessings are. A mental illness is you don't have the ability to count on one hand all your blessings. And when you're still in the funk, you go to the second hand and you count. And so I started to become mentally strong and I was able to look at, homeless ain't the worst thing that ever happened to you. Like you could be dead, right? So what do you need to do? You need to start going to church. When I started going to church, I started saying, oh man, wow, I see they going to college. All right, I'm going to get my GED and go to college. I started looking at, the GED ain't the worst thing in the world because the GED opened up the 4-year degree. And it took you 12 years, but you finished. Now you can go get the master's degree. Now you can turn the master's degree into a PhD. And so all of a sudden I was homeless because I was thinking about I didn't have my father. My mother was young. I grew up in a certain neighborhood. I didn't have certain advantages that everybody else had. So number one, and I want to stay on this one because like I said, this kid never cried. He never complained. And so one of the things we want to do with our young players is like really help them to understand that why you got to go out there and put the points up. At the same time, you got to make sure mentally you're strong because a lot of stuff is going to happen in life. And you got to make sure when you get hit, you have the ability to get back up. Real quick, I want to make sure when I say motivation, I'm actually talking about mental health. When I talk about motivation, I'm actually talking about, again, when I talk about motivation, I'm actually talking about, one more time. When I talk about motivation, I'm actually talking about, and how many of us, like for real, I know we hit the gym in the morning. I know we do that. I know we work out. We work on our games, but just being real, how many of us spend as much time on our mental health, motivation, like the ability to say, my favorite quote, never let a good crisis go to waste. My son, can you give me, Candace got the book. Let me see the book real quick. So mental health is, we are in a recession, right? That mental health, we're in a recession. Like as a speaker, I don't know if y'all know what this means, but as a speaker, they said something about social distancing. Rocked my whole career. That's all I do. Thank you, son. That's all I do is speak. So in 2019, when we entered 2020, they really said my whole job was gone, right? I'm accustomed to being in the locker room or being on the field or being at a stadium or being out of the country, talking to 10,000, 5,000. My whole job was gone. So what does mental health look like? It looked like instead of me saying, man, I done lost my whole job. Like I'm used to making at that time $50,000 a pop. Like ain't nobody paying that for no Zoom. Mental health was relax, count your blessings, look within and see what can you do even though they've taken your main source of income. What could you do? And so for those 2 years, I wrote a book. I got a publishing deal, right? I wrote a book, right? They came to me, hey, we're going to pay you this much. I said, I'm good. I want a greater percentage. Like I'm betting on ET. Like flat out, I'm good. You ain't got to give me no nothing up front. I don't need no royalty. I don't need nuts. I just need a greater percentage because I believe I'm going to sell 1 million books. So during the recession, my mental health was like, yo, they've taken the one thing that you know, the one thing that you're good at. They've taken that away from you. I thought it was going to be 6 weeks. Then it was 6 months. Then it was a year. Then it was 14 months, 16 months. It was 18 months before I got back on the road again, right? Motivation is mental. Yeah, come on. Motivation is mental. Good. Motivation is mental. And we got to work on that. So being honest, how many of you in the room, you spend as much time on your mental health as you do in the gym or as you do playing basketball? Let me see your hand. Right? And it's cool, whatever. But I'm just saying, I got a kid who is dying of cancer. He knows he's going to die. He's swollen. His stuff is coming out. But every day when I see him, every day when I talk to this kid, he's still like, E.T., I have nothing but positive things to say. That's because physically he was handicapped, but mentally he was strong. And so we got to work on our mental. So number 2, the role requires soul. So of course we got to be selfless with the sacrifice. You know, I'm walking up the streets of Vegas. I'm, doing my thing. People pulling me to the side like, yo, E, flat out. You know how bros are. They like, E, I don't take pics with grown men. You know how we do. Like, yo, sometimes you see celebrities, bro, and they kind of play you. So I want to take a pic, but I ain't know. I'm like, bro, let's take this pic, bro. They was like, E, thanks for all the videos. I was like, bro, that's what I do. That's what King did. That's what X did. That's what Garvey did. That's what Sojourner Truth did. That's what Harriet Tubman did. Like, that's what I'm on. The same way when you guys were young, and I don't know who y'all looked up to, but whoever it was, Dr. J had the rock, Michael Jordan had the rock. The same way when you get that rock in your hand and you feel that way, that's the same way I felt about Martin Luther King when I would hear him speak. Like, yep, I can do that. The same way when I would hear X lead a group of men, I was like, yo, I can do that. The same way with Marcus Garvey, when Marcus had, like, we going back to Africa and we got that pride. I'm like, yep, I can do that. So the same way you felt about that rock is the same way I felt about that mic. And I knew at a young age I could speak. And I was like, E, it just can't be about you. You got to be selfless. What are you trying to do? What's your goal? Remember what I told you? A high D is about executing. So you're not talking execution talk right now. You're talking what talk? Feelings talk. All right, so let's restate that. What is the goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Good. They don't want it. So you do what? The goal was to do what? Good. They don't want it. I'm going to say it again so we can all help you out again. The goal is what? Share knowledge. They don't want it. All right? Stop. They don't want it. Stop. Now, we're going to talk about this, like I said, tomorrow, or if you guys sign up for one of the programs. The challenge for you is how you feel when you stop. That's the challenge. So if it's somebody I love and they don't want to hear and I know they're about to hurt themselves, the challenge is how I feel now that I got to watch them walk into the doggone fire. I got to sit there and somebody that care about you and see you walk into the doggone fire and somebody be tied up and I can't do nothing about it. That's the problem you got. That's what hurts. Okay, if I'm telling the truth, let me see your hand. That's the problem you have. Good, hands down. That's the challenge. Not telling them no. You got what it takes to tell them no. But as you see them walking over that cliff, not knowing if they get over it, if they're going to survive it or not. And you got to sit there and watch them do it. This is why E.T. is one of the speakers that bring God into everything I do. Because this is where you need faith. This is where God come through. Your little money ain't going. Your little celebrity. There's some places your little celebrity and your knowledge is not going to take you. This is why I talk God talk. Because there's some places you're going to go that only God going to be able to get you through. And when you watch a loved one going into a fiery furnace and you can't do nothing about it, this is where you need God. This is where you need to say, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow, while they walking, you got to say, yea, though I walk through the valley, I shall fear no evil, for God is with them. Thy rod and thy staff shall comfort them. You got to keep saying it to yourself. He will not put on them more than they can bear. He will cover them. He will be their shield and their buckler, their rod. a shelter in a time of storm. You got to pray for your son and your daughter. My daughter's at Michigan State University. Kids getting raped every day. My daughter didn't grow up in the hood, so she don't have hood skills. But there are men on campus that got hood skills. And I can't be with her 24/7. So in 3 o'clock in the morning, what are you doing at 3? I'm covering my babies at 3. God bless them. Whatever decision they make, don't let it hurt them. And God has to remind me, you can't be with them, but I'm Alpha and Omega. I'm Alpha and Omega. I agree with them everywhere they go. I can be with them at all times. I got them covered, son. And what you got to do is just put their name on the war board. Just put it on the board and just look, guys. My boy Willie Moore Jr. told me 3 years ago, he freed me up. I was like, my son and my daughter, I don't know. He said, put their name on the wall and put all their friends. And tell God to take everybody out of their life that shouldn't be in their life. And keep everybody in their life that should. And if they're holding on to somebody that shouldn't be, God, you deal with it for them. And then you leave it on the wall and walk away. And don't think about it again. You leave it in my hand and I got it. So either you trust me or you're going to be focused on the situation. Which one is it? He said, I trust you. He said, then tell them once and get out their face. Warn them. Because that's your job as a father. You warn them. But you don't warn 50 times. You warn once. And you get out the way and you support that. However they want you to support, whatever they want you to do, that's what you do. But don't do more than what they ask you to do. This is where you put on God. Your money can only take you so far. And this world will trick you into making you think that people who are millionaires are happy. Money can't make you happy. It only supports what you do. It doesn't make you what you are. And there are too many rich people in the world who have no integrity and no character. It's too many. And what we need is anointed, God-fearing entrepreneurs is what we need. So we can show people the right way to do it. And so there's a sense of, I want to give you a sense of, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm going to give you a sense of awareness because there's some opportunities you had that you blew because you couldn't execute. Think about it. There's some relationships you were in, you couldn't execute on them, and you lost them, and it cost you. That's never going to happen again if you follow our rubric. It's not going to happen again. There's some business opportunities you missed. It will never happen again. If you got God and you are aware and you got the right people around you, there should be no reason. Y'all, somebody said to me, your consistency, you went to a whole nother level. I didn't go to a whole nother level. I went to the level that I went to because I had a chameleon who was acting as a turtle and got everything we needed to get done every Monday. And then I got a flamingo gorilla to take over the videos, and they was doing them every single day. And people think I'm all over the world. I'm like, brother, you're the hardest working man in showbiz. I was like 3 years ago, maybe 4. Now I'm just the hardest internet working dude on showbiz. Internet just be making me look like I'm all over the world, right? Because I put the right people around. I'm gonna need you to be real. Some of the stuff's gonna hurt today, but it's okay. One of the things I'm starting to realize is there's a small group of people that's really living the American dream. But it's telling you some good information. They're not showing you how to execute on those. All I'm saying is, as we move forward, we can't help certain things, but we're not going to sabotage ourselves. I'm going to show you why they execute and why you don't. But more of us could be living whatever life we want. But what they didn't show you is how you were supposed to do that. What I want y'all to start doing for me is having dreams and then give me a couple nightmares to go with the dream. For real, I just want you to make up in your mind like this could happen. Not because I want you to be spooked out, but I don't want you to get hit and you like, I didn't prepare for that.